Hey everybody, I'm Ryan, this is the Will to Make, and today I'm going to show you how to turn these pallets and these fence pickets into this platform deck. So I started off by first outlining where I wanted the deck to be, then scraped up the first layer of dirt and grass using a shovel. While doing this, I tried to level the ground out as much as I could, but still keeping a slope away from the house. Now I could lay my pallets down. My wife seen a listing for these super nice pallets on Facebook, so I rushed over and grabbed as many as I could. They are very heavy duty and in very good shape. They are also exactly the same, which is great for this project. This third one needed a notch cut out to fit around my gas meter. I started by marking the cutout. Then with a sawzall, I cut the notch out, flipping it over to cut both sides. Once the notch was cut, I needed to brace both sides, so I used some scrap to do so. This pallet could now be slid into place. I continued to lay the rest of the pallets, making sure they were butted up as close to each other as I could. Two pallets wide wasn't big enough for what we wanted, so I ended up cutting 4 pallets in half, long ways to give us that width. I also need the length of the deck a little longer, so I cut 2 pallets in half, short ways. All of these pieces could then be put in place as well. The last piece was the corner. I ended up just cutting the corner of one of the pallets and it fit perfect. Next I laid down underlayment on top of all the pallets. This locked everything together and made the deck super solid. I understand that this is not the best way to build a deck and it might not last as long, but with wood prices today we figured we would take a chance and build it like this knowing that it wouldn't be perfect. Up against the house, I measured the remaining underlayment I would need. I then cut these strips out using my circular saw and some foam board underneath. Once these pieces were cut, they could be installed. Next were the fence pickets. I chopped off the dog ears and started by installing the border of the deck. I made sure to keep these flush with the top of the deck. Then the top pieces could go on. I lined up the front with the front border and screwed them down. Once I got a row done, I could stagger the next row. The next day I could continue on the rest of the deck. The front of these were a little sharp, so I gave it a quick round over with my router. The cracks needed to be painted dark so they wouldn't show later on, so we found a spray paint that matched our deck paint and went over each crack. Then our deck paint could be applied. This paint we used was super thick, so it ended up taking about 1.5 gallons to do this whole top, but it was totally worth it because the paint is super durable and looks great. With that, the super cheap platform deck was complete. The total cost was around $500, which is way cheaper than if we would have built it with dimensional lumber. Like I said, it may not last as long, but for the price, we are very happy with how it turned out. I will be installing sunshade sails over top of the deck in a later video, so subscribe to make sure you don't miss it. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.